Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Cooking with Cece. My name is Brian from Creative Culture. Today we're going to make a sun-dried tomato pasta. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and prep all of our ingredients. We're going to go ahead and run through the ingredients real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and prep these, get these all ready. One important thing when you're cooking is to make sure that you have everything ready ahead of time. To make our cream sauce, we're gonna add a little bit of heavy cream here and then Parmesan cheese as well. So I did a blend of Parmesan and Romano, a little bit more pungent, a little bit more potent cheese. And that's gonna help just really balance out that dish as well. A little bit more bitterness to the cheese. And that's gonna help counteract the sweetness of the sun-dried tomatoes. So I have those here. Sun-dried tomatoes are very sweet just because they're so condensed. The flavor's so condensed in these little sun-dried tomatoes. So what we're gonna do is balance out the dish with the cheese, like I mentioned, and some artichokes as well. So these artichokes are going to balance out the sweetness of the sun-dried tomatoes with the cheese. That little bit of bitterness, the acidity from the artichoke hearts, it's gonna pair perfectly with the sweetness of the sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to use fettuccine pasta. So I have fettuccine pasta, just the surface area on a fettuccine noodle. It's going to absorb a lot more sauce and flavor than any other type of pasta. So that would be my recommendation. Well, I do have some garlic here as well, so we'll mince up garlic. And then last but not least, what I'm going to do is take this basil, and then we're going to fry this for a minute. And we're going to make this basil, each leaf, nice and crispy. And then we're going to garnish the pasta with that. Once again, when it comes down to balancing out a dish, you want to make sure that you have different textures. So we have a very creamy pasta, and it would be delicious with a little bit of crunch on it. So what we're going to do is go ahead and fry this basil, make it nice and crispy, still retain the flavor, and garnish that pasta with it to give us that little bit of different texture throughout the dish. I'm going to go ahead and mise en place all of my ingredients, get these all ready. You should go ahead and do that as well. And we're back. All ingredients are prepped, ready to go. I have everything laid out so that way as I'm going through the steps, like I mentioned just a minute ago, we can go ahead and just cook a lot more efficiently than trying to prep stuff as we're cooking. If you do that, you're ultimately going to burn your food. And if you don't, you got very lucky. So enjoy that. So what we're gonna do first is boil our pasta. I know that seems a little bit backwards from a lot of pasta recipes where you start with the sauce and then make the pasta. The only reason we're starting with the pasta first is because this is going to be a sauteed pasta dish, not just like spaghetti and meat sauce or spaghetti with a marinara sauce. So we are going to be sauteing this. If we cook our pasta all the way through, once we add it to the pan, what it's going to do is just overcook because the sauce is going to be hot. And it's going to finish cooking the pasta. We're going to leave the pasta in the sauce for just a couple minutes. So we want to make sure that two things to watch when we're boiling pasta. That our water is as salty as salt water. We want to make sure it's like the ocean. The reason for that is that salt in the pasta is going to absorb into the pasta, and then you're going to taste that with every single bite. Now, one thing to remember is as you're salting throughout the rest of the dish, please make sure that you remember that your pasta is going to have salt in it as well. Last thing you want to do is over salt the dish when the pasta has salt in it already, and then it's going to be inedible. And that was one of the first things in a restaurant when a guest would say pasta's too salty or doesn't have enough flavor. One of the first things that I would do is go to the pasta and check that, just taste the noodle and see how the salt content in that pasta is. So super important to do because it's going to add a lot more flavor to your dish. But also keep in mind that you did that as you're cooking, going through the rest of the steps. We're going to boil the pasta for 10 minutes today. So I'm going to go ahead and get the pasta started boiling right now. All right, guys, pasta's on, boiling. We have roughly about 10 minutes until we need to get that off of the stovetop. And in the meantime, we are going to start building our sauce. This is one of the most important parts of this whole dish. Obviously, this is where all the flavors are going to come together, where we're going to create the thickness and the creaminess in the sauce. This is just gonna bring everything together, and you're gonna see all the magic take place in this. What we want to do is take our saute pan. We want to put that over medium heat, and we want to make sure that we have that pan nice and hot. If we put the garlic's the first thing we're going to put in this pan. If we put the garlic in and the pan's not hot enough, then it's not going to cook at all. And we need that instant flavor release as soon as the garlic hits the pan. Then we're going to add in my case, some shrimp that I just have salt and pepper on. We're going to cook the shrimp 2 minutes per side. So as I'm cooking the shrimp on the first side, I'll just let that simmer with the artichoke hearts, sun-dried tomatoes. And then that 4-minute cooking period is going to allow all of these flavors to blend together, mix together, and just really create a beautiful flavor at the end of the dish. Our shrimp, artichokes, sun-dried tomatoes, garlic, 4 minutes total. Then we're going to add in our heavy cream and then our Parmesan Romano cheese blend as well. That cheese blend is just going to melt down in the sauce and just thicken it up a little bit, give you that nice creamy texture for the pasta. Next step is going to be adding in our pasta. We'll let that simmer for a couple more minutes. All right, guys, last thing we need to do is fry our basil. What we're gonna do this process, we're gonna take our pan. I'm gonna take a small saucepan, just add, I would say about 1 inch of oil in the bottom of it, just to make sure that it can cover your whole basil leaf. We wanna heat that up, smoking point, take it off of the stovetop, temp it. From the last video, we talked about our heat when we're frying things needs to be at 350 degrees. Smoking. If your heat is too hot, it's going to fry that basil right away and burn it. It's not hot enough. What it's going to do is sit in that oil and absorb the oil, and then you're going to have oily, greasy basil. So make sure that you get the temp to 350. And then you're going to drop a whole basil leaf in for 1 minute. So that's going to be our kind of standard time. Keep an eye on it though. If you have really big basil leaves, it might take a little bit longer to cook. If you have small pieces of basil leaf, it's going to cook a lot faster. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on it and making sure that you're getting that basil nice and crispy. All right, guys, we're back and we're almost finished. So last step that we have to do is plate the. All right, guys, people eat with their eyes first. It's one important thing to remember. Make sure it looks beautiful. We get a lot of height on the pasta. It just adds a visual aspect to the plate. So we're gonna get some nice height on that pasta. And then I'm gonna do tails up on the shrimp all the way around the pasta. I'm gonna add a little bit of extra Parmesan cheese just right on top, and then the fried basil. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this plated, and then I'm gonna dive in. I can't wait to try this. I hope you're excited to try this as well. So I'll be right back. All right, guys. There you have it, a beautifully plated sun-dried tomato pasta dish. Appreciate you guys joining me this week. I hope you enjoy this dish. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna be putting out a video every Sunday. And then as I get the hang of it, I'm gonna start trying to put out 2 videos a week. I have got a couple of requests for cocktails as well, so you'll see some cocktail videos coming soon. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Enjoy your pasta, and I'll see you next week.